Today's video is brought to you by award-winning VPN Surfshark. I swear whenever I've been shopping in Korea, I always leave feeling inspired to level up my everyday style. Like, obviously, I like putting together an outfit, but specifically if there's some sort of concept behind it, which means sometimes when it comes to just the everyday outfits, I do find myself stuck in a bit of a rut. K-fashion is often my solution in those instances, just because it gives me so many ideas on how to elevate my basics while still having a bit of a playful side to them. Unfortunately, I wasn't able to shop as much as I typically would like on a trip like this, but honestly, even just window shopping is a treat because the mannequins are styled to perfection. But I figured it could still be helpful to look at what I did get since I was so selective. I feel like every item is a hit and a bunch of it has already become wardrobe staples for me. Plus, we can kind of chat about some of my favorite Korean brands, what's on my wish list, and outfit combos I'm styling them in. First up is this Tommy Hilfiger shirt I got from a vintage store that has been upcycled with a few different shirts to create this mismatched pattern clash. I've always preferred these styles over just your standard flannel. I actually picked one up back in 2018 from Japan, but what really drew me towards this one is that all 4 patterns they chose were in the same color palette, so it just feels like a more subtle approach and thus very easy to style on a lazy day. You could totally get a similar vibe though from the button-up skirt hack that was trending after Jenny's look went viral last year. But button-ups in general is something you can expect to see more of in this video because they have just skyrocketed on my wardrobe essentials list recently. Something else that's been an absolute essential for me for years at this point and should be a priority for you too is protecting yourself online with award-winning VPN Surfshark. Surfshark is a virtual private network available to download now as an app or browser extension. All it takes is a couple of quick and easy clicks to ensure your peace of mind whilst browsing. They protect all of your personal data by encrypting the information sent between your device and the internet. That means no more companies and bots keeping tabs on you. You can also use the clean web feature to prevent tracking, malware, and phishing attempts. No surprise that I'm an incredibly anxious person. Same goes when I'm traveling, but you really can't help but use Airbnb, hotel, cafe, public Wi-Fi, potentially sketchy. But since I have Surfshark, I don't even give it another thought because I know they have my back. And of course, you can also change your virtual location, unlocking content from around the world. This comes in clutch when you want to watch something on an app that isn't available in your country. For me, there's Love Island and RuPaul's Drag Race. And at the time of filming this, I have no idea what is going on with the TikTok ban, but potentially something to keep in mind. One of my favorite things about Surfshark is that they actually offer unlimited devices under just one account. But you can try it all for yourself risk-free because Surfshark offer a 30-day money-back guarantee. And at the moment, you can score yourself 4 extra months of Surfshark by heading over to surfshark.com/spotlight. You can simply scan the QR code on screen, or for more information and links, check out the description box. Okay, potentially my favorite purchase, definitely one of my most statement pieces, I guess, is this plaid skirt. It's by the brand Sculptor, but I picked it up in store at Visual Aid. If you are shopping in Seoul, I highly recommend because they have a really good selection of all different trending brands in one place. Seriously, so many tempting contenders, but I had limited myself to only one piece and I just couldn't walk away from this. I mean, come on, there's nothing I love more than a plaid skirt, and I just felt like this one was more unique than anything I already owned. I thought the color combination was really interesting, and obviously its real point of difference is this fold over waistband. I don't know, something about the choice of fabric I feel like almost acts as a built-in soft dreamy contrast to the plaid. It's kind of a wrap situation, so as is I prefer to style it over something, but if I add a little pin then it's good to go as a standalone skirt as well. I swear nowhere else has the same ability to influence me in real time just walking down the street. The first day we arrived in Seoul, I saw a girl wearing this sweater and I was like, I wonder if I'm gonna be able to find that. And then a few days later, I ended up picking up that skirt. A few days after that, I found said sweater, and at that point it was just fate because it is the perfect color match. Actually, do you guys get those videos that I guess are like Korean travel content saying, oh, I didn't get the memo about wearing no color in Korea? Because I feel like they are overplayed at this point. Like when I first went in the beginning of 2019, I was kind of like, whoa, everyone is wearing black denim trench coat button to the top. I really didn't notice it this time around. I feel like there was a good mix. I guess no bright, bold colors unless you're an ajumma, but there were a lot of like soft pastel tones that they would team with grays or browns, which I have really taken inspiration from because it very much falls under my color analysis, which was something I was kind of previously struggling with just because often black felt like too heavy of a contrast, which is why I kept reaching for the same cream skirt by the end of the trip. I was just over it. So I'm happy I picked up just this plain brown option. I really like the length and it's just that perfect in between of no contrast or too harsh of a contrast. My only obstacle now is shoes because I am still just wearing black. It feels like it needs like a colored sneaker or something, but I don't know. I'm not willing to commit. I don't know what I'd actually get wear out of. If you guys have any recommendations, please let me know. Some other things that have made it to my wish list since the trip are a good pair of tailored shorts. I do have this black pair, but I feel like they're too short on me and also too lightweight. Like the ones I was seeing were a lot thicker and often in a corduroy. Also, this style of sweater was really popular. I'm not 100% sure on the name, but I have seen it referred to as Fair Isle pattern. I didn't have enough space in my suitcase to purchase one, and considering it's summer where I live, I just couldn't justify it. But I've been thinking about them for a while now, so I'll probably end up purchasing one for our winter. The one I have my eye on is actually from a Chinese brand, Kyoko. And you know, just to be a total hypocrite, a bulky sweatshirt I did have room for was this one here from Nice Ghost Club. I've been admiring this brand for ages, just totally up my alley, really statement baggy tees. Unfortunately, they didn't really have any of the t-shirts available. I guess it just wasn't the season for it, so I caved and got the hoodie instead. I'm not even mad at it though, because at this point, coming home with a graphic sweatshirt is like my souvenir. Every time I visit Korea, I add a new favorite to my wardrobe, and I'm never disappointed. I always end up living in them come the cooler months. They actually did have this in a different colorway, which I was tempted because in that one, the character's hair was blue. It was giving very much Sheen from Nana. But I don't know, I was just more drawn to the base color of this hoodie because it's not something I already had. In complete contrast, not bulky at all, is this little lace wrap. This has been on my wish list for over a year at this point. I just hadn't come across the right one for me. Originally, I was more drawn to, I'm not too sure how to describe it, but it almost looked more like a frilly belt or like a shirt poking out the bottom of your top. I did try some of that style on while I was over there and realized it just wasn't really for me. Like, it was adding so much bulk to one localized area. I knew I wouldn't feel comfortable and wouldn't end up getting the wear out of it. Whereas this one just being a bit longer, having that asymmetry, a nice flow to it, I feel like I'm gonna throw it on over practically anything. Another lacy piece is this little baby doll top. I saw something very similar on a couple of K-pop idols quite a while ago, and just like mentally locked that in. I thought I wanted the exact same brand, but I ended up going with this one instead, just because it was a little bit looser, and I don't know, that's just my preference when it comes to a layering piece. This color is just my absolute favorite, something that will always sucker me in because it's baby pink, but has like that hint of peach to it, making it more warm toned. And those last couple of things I got from Yusinsa, which you might be familiar with because I feel like they have a really big online presence. And last time I was there, which was March 2023, the only stores I went into were Musinsa Standard, which is pretty much their own brand of like classic basic pieces, dare I say like a elevated Uniqlo sort of vibe. Not necessarily my style, but this time around I realized they actually had other store locations that offer a more similar experience to what they have online with a bunch of different Korean brands. The main one I see people talk about is the Seongsu brand. We were kind of staying in that area, so we ended up going a couple of times and the displays kept changing. It was always really, really impressive, but it is insanely busy. So I ended up doing more damage at the Hongdae location. I know Hongdae gets shat on a lot, but if you want to go there for shopping, because there are some really good shops, I totally recommend going around lunchtime when things have just opened and it's kind of dead, because if your anxiety doesn't deal well with crowds come nighttime, it can be a bit much. But yeah, there was so much I fell in love with there. I wish I could have walked away with more, but unfortunately the price tags kind of put a restraint on that. I have a few things still saved in my wish list though. If you've been here for a hot minute, first of all, thank you for your patience, because I know I am absolutely insufferable with the upload schedule. My apologies. Second of all, hopefully you remember me talking about bubble hem skirts long before they came a trend. I was struggling to find them anywhere, and then last year they ended up blowing up, readily available at all fast fashion. The kicker is I still didn't find one I fell in love with until now, which is apparently when everyone on TikTok is telling us the trend is out, but you will still catch me and this little beauty. I don't know if it was just a simple addition of the pockets for a point of difference that drew me in, but finally Goldilocks has found the right skirt for her. And originally this week I was gonna film my ins and outs for 2025. Let me know if you still wanna see that. But now thinking about the bubble skirt, I feel like it would be more helpful if I did a video styling what's allegedly out for this year. So if you guys have seen anyone trashing on certain trends, saying like things that must die in 2025, let me know what they are and maybe we can find some creative ways to restyle them. One of the easiest ways to avoid getting too caught up in that trend cycle is to have wardrobe staples that aren't just like a stock standard that everyone has listed off, but ones that actually truly speak to you and what you want to wear. Case in point for me at the moment is this top, because I literally cannot stop wearing it. It's just a basic black t-shirt, so I can style it with literally anything, but it doesn't feel boring because of the little details that still excite me. The very dainty polka dot print, the ever so subtle puff sleeve that just hits at the perfect length on my my arm. And then the 2 strings on the neckline, you can either tie in a cute little bow, or recently I prefer to crisscross them halter neck style. Then I feel like I don't even have to worry about jewelry if I don't want to for the ultimate lazy day fit. The other basic I felt like I needed an upgrade on was just a plain long sleeve. I've had this one from Style Nanda for too many years at this point. The fabric has just seen better days, but I really love that it introduced the texture by having the ruching down the middle. But then sometimes in contrast, I didn't like how slim that made the sleeves feel, if that makes sense. So I found myself always scrunching it up. So I figured this time around I wanted to look for something that had texture all over. And this is what I ended up finding ticked off my criteria perfectly. I really do think when it comes to those basics, that's when you need to be the most specific, because these are like the glue to your wardrobe. So if it's not perfectly what you want to reach for day after day, it's just not gonna cut it. If you're interested, I could do a whole video on my personal wardrobe staples and how I get the most out of them. When it comes to selecting them, I feel like a lot of the time it comes down to the perfect fit for you, which was definitely the case with these black pants. I don't know if it's just me, but when it comes to trousers, I feel like the biggest make or break is how it sits on the shoe, if that makes sense. Like just looking at these on the hanger, I already thought I would like them because of that gathered detail along the side of the leg. And once trying them on, it was confirmed. It's just exactly how I like a pant to sit. I forgot to mention, but for a portion of our stay, we were right next to Seoul Forest. Surprisingly not busy at all. Seemingly tourists just go to the forest and then don't like venture elsewhere, but it was such a good vibe. The food options were endless, which I really appreciate. It was both restaurant and cafe. Literally the best drink of my life. I am still dreaming of it. If you guys know anywhere in Brisbane that offers something similar, please let me know because I am desperate. But yeah, there is a couple of cool stores scattered through there. The most popular probably being Undo. Regrettably, I did not pull the trigger on a big bag purchase. However, I did get some glasses. My original intentions were to go with Gentle Monster, but the more I was thinking about all those PR unboxings that I watch, I realized that perhaps I've just fallen in love with the theatrics of it all. For example, the jewelry collection at the moment. Do I like the glasses? Yeah. Do I love the scepter that they are sending people? Absolutely. Anyway, all that just to say I ended up purchasing from Blue Elephant instead. These might actually be kind of hard to see on camera just because of the style and the ring light situation, but I love them. I just think they're a good option if I don't want my chunkier pink frames. Another one worth visiting if you like that kind of like cutesy vintage feel is Paper Doll Mate. There was a lot of cute stationery, but I was on a self-enforced ban, so I just ended up going with this adorable wallet. Like, the cute little vintage kitty cats. Also from around that area, this denim jacket with the contrast stitch and plaid trim. In a way, it almost reminded me of the barn jackets that had been trending, but just actually in my aesthetic. I think it actually looks best zipped up, so most of the time I'm going to treat it more as a top rather than an outerwear layering piece. I'm not exactly sure what it is. It might just be the contrast stitching gives off a bit of a mod vibe, so I think it would be really fun to style it accordingly. Didn't really end up thrifting much, don't get me wrong. I looked in a lot of secondhand stores, just wasn't really making any purchases. The main reason being the suitcase was practically full from our time in Japan, which definitely regretting it. I think I mentioned in a previous video, I ended up finding better secondhand hysteric glamour when I was in Busan than the whole time we were in Japan, which is crazy. I definitely should have taken advantage of that. So if you guys are headed down south when you're in Korea, do not sleep on the vintage shopping there. The one piece that I knew I could not walk away without though is the infamous hysteric belt. This has been on my wish list for years and years. Again, one of those things that I'm always looking up on Buyee for a good deal, but seeing it in person, I don't know, something just overcomes you and it is much harder to say no. I want to say it was about 110 Australian, which is a lot, but not ridiculous compared to what I've seen it go for online, and the fact that it is a grail piece for me. Like, I wish we had footage of my face when I spotted this. I also thrifted this brown belt, originally from Fossil, but it totally reminded me of the one that Nami wears at the end of Whole Cake Island arc, which meant it was an instant yes. Also a thrift find is this gorgeous late 90s, early 2000s mesh dress. For some reason, I am just such a sucker for animal print teamed with floral print. It can go so horribly tacky, but when it's done right, I just become obsessed. And I think all of those were from vintage stores in the Yeonnam-dong area, which I think I would actually consider staying in the future. It is still kind of touristy, but it's like just that little bit further away that it's not too busy. There's lots of shops, restaurants, cafes, and you're still super central to one of those major subway stations, which you can get to pretty much anywhere from there. For accessories, I didn't actually pick up as much as I thought I would. I think those big accessory stores just get a little bit too overwhelming for me, especially if you go when it's busy. But I'm happy with what I did get, including this green moss head beanie. This was one of my biggest regrets last time, not getting like the slim fitted beanies that I feel like everyone wears over there. The other hat is just this basic camo one. I think I want to DIY it to add a little bit more personality. I was also happy to find this Asper themed bag charm, which came with a photo card and all. A little bit more expensive than I would have liked, but I justified it because I didn't actually buy any K-pop albums the entire trip other than the SM minis, which is crazy. I am by no means a beauty guru, but you cannot go to Korea and not go to Young. So I thought I'd mention some of my favorites, whether it's things that I got this time or just things that I always keep repurchasing online as well. One of my biggest shopping regrets was when we were in Osaka, I saw a bunch of Adidas boxing boots. I was kind of umming and ahhing over it, but Sam was like, no, you don't need them. When are you gonna wear them anyway? I was like, okay, maybe you're right. No. He didn't hear the end of it the rest of the trip. I was like, oh, I should have gotten them. I haven't seen them again. They'd be so much more expensive at home, which is 100% true. But on the very last day, I found them in an Adidas store in Seoul, and Sam was like, for the love of God, you have to get them now. I'm not gonna lie to you, after all that, I'm kind of scared he was right, because they are out of my comfort zone being so flat and so tight to the leg, but I need to get over it. I promise we will make them work. That's about it, other than a large array of photo booth strips, but let me know what you think was the best buy. At the moment, I'm still going with the Sculptor plaid skirt, but in the long run, it's gonna be the hoodie. No doubt. And before you go, please don't forget to check out today's video sponsor, award-winning VPN Surfshark, for that limited time deal. And hopefully I'll see you guys again really, really soon. Bye.